If you're looking for a way to wire up your motorcycle, I want to show you something that's easy. It actually is cost effective. It has a tech support behind it so you can get your bike wired up a lot faster. If you get stuck in any way, you can always reach out and ask the tech support. It comes with a wiring diagram custom for you and your motorcycle, no matter what setup you have. Because let's face it, wiring isn't the easiest for everybody. It does get a little bit confusing if you've never done it before. Let's get straight into it. Before we get started on the wiring, I need to quickly mount my starter solenoid as well as my regulator rectifier to the electrics tray that I built, and then I can show you how to wire everything up. For anyone who doesn't know about our digital regulator rectifiers, these things are state of the art. Just a couple of things about them. This is the open drain design. They're also a MOSFET design. They don't run hot like a standard regulator rectifier. In fact, they run way cooler. You can pretty much mount them wherever you want. It doesn't really need airflow. It's probably better to give it airflow, but it doesn't necessarily need it. They'll charge almost any lead acid, AGM or lithium battery, and they have a steady output of 14.25 volts. The power and speed of charging with one of these digital regulator rectifiers compared to the old stock ones which are on the bike, it's well worth replacing while you're doing your wiring, so you don't have to pull apart all your pretty wiring and replace it later. The old ones on your motorcycle at the moment are like an incandescent light bulb, meaning they'll last for a little bit of time, but eventually they'll just pop and stop charging your bike. Exactly the same principle applies with the starter solenoids. These things also die over time. You may as well replace it while you can. These are the ones we have available on our website if you want to go and check them out. They're perfect for every single motorcycle. It really is a no-brainer. If you're doing any kind of wiring on your bike, doesn't matter what it is, if you're getting any kind of faults, always check your connectors first. This is the most common thing for having faults on your bike. And this one here has got a bit of red dirt on it, which means there's probably red dirt on the inside. It's been a very dusty environment, but more so than just the dirtiness of the outside and probably the connectors, there's actually some insulation sheathing that's been, I don't know if it's been eaten by something like a rodent, or if it's just gone really bad because it's just, you know, over time. Because this bike is pretty old, and this is something that you just really need to look for and study. Make sure your connectors are good. I'm gonna have to chop this one back and see what the wires are like and then put a brand new connector on. The standard OEM style connectors work totally fine. If you wanna spend a little bit more money and get something waterproof, you can always go with the Deutsch connectors or something else, but these are gonna work. They've been working for years and there's nothing wrong with them. I usually don't worry about trying to get the wires to the exact length that I need them straight away. I usually do all that stuff at the end when the bike's completely built and I do the final wiring. But just to connect everything up straight away, I usually use these little snap connectors. You just poke the wire in each one of those little holes. You can get these in a bank of 2 or 3 or 4, whatever you want, and then that just makes it really, really easy to get all your wiring set up quickly, and then you can keep moving on to the next thing. So after a bit of investigating on this particular plug, which is the stator and the neutral switch, well, it was green and red. As you can see, it is pretty bad. So I have to replace that wire and then resheath it and then reroute it, and then we can do the plug. So this is going to be the baseline to connect your control hub to your motorcycle. It doesn't matter which control hub you choose, the wiring setup is exactly the same. So the colors, you can just follow along and it will show you what goes where. The only thing that's really going to change per motorcycle is the components that they actually go to, because the wires coming out of each component are going to be a different color. But if you purchase one of the control hubs from us, you'll get a custom wiring diagram just like this, specific for your motorcycle and your setup. However, for me, for this regulator rectifier here, I've got the 3 wires coming out of that, and they're just going to go over to my pink, my white, and my yellow here on the stator. I can now go ahead and connect those 3. There's 2 more wires coming out of the regulator rectifier. One is black, and that's just an earth, and the red one is going to go straight over to the left plug of the starter solenoid. If you do get the control hub, this is a really easy way to wire up your key ignition. If you're going to get a new key ignition, this is a 3-position, and it also has a plug which just directly plugs straight into the hub, making wiring even easier. But right now we need the red wire off this, as you can see, just to go to the actual starter solenoid on the other side there. There's one more place to put a wire in this plug here. We may as well do that, and that is coming from the out port plug out of your control hub, and it's the purple wire. So we'll just plug that one in, and then we know that one's done as well, and we can move on to the next step. It's always good to use the proper crimping tools for a solid connection. This is the brand that I'm using for anyone who wants to know. And that is now taking care of the starter solenoid and the regulator, and we can now move to the next step. What I would suggest doing is leave your wiring way longer than you need. Don't trim it just yet. Wait to get everything connected and then come back later after you've pretty much connected everything, and you can go back and make everything tidy. These ones here, as you can see, are way longer. And what I'm going to do later is cut them back to where they need to be and just add new crimps. So the extra bit of wire will be thrown in the bin, but these things are really, really cheap. It's the best way to do it. You don't want to cut a wire too short and have to extend it. That's just messy. Trust me, this is the way to go. So this is the key ignition plug that I mentioned earlier, and that just pretty much lives right there on the end. And then we have the next one, which is the out port. Now that's the largest of the plugs, and that just lives right next to it. I just wanted to mention, depending on when you're actually watching this video, this particular control hub model may or may not be available to purchase. However, what this is essentially is the core of all of your wiring. So this is everything that you need in a control hub to wire up your bike exactly how it is without all the unnecessary features. So this keeps it cost effective and you can get it done as quick as possible. And the next wire we want to grab, which is the red wire, and that's going to go to the coils. So let's do that. This is the out port, the one we're working on now, and as you can see, the red wire goes straight up onto both sides of the black and white wire on the coils. But if you do have any questions about the control hubs or if it's going to fit your motorcycle, go over to our website, caferacergarageshop.com. On the bottom right-hand corner, you'll find the chat box where you can ask any questions you want, and I'll be happy to help. And this is an old bike, so it's got a condenser, it's got points. So the next two wires, this one's blue, the one on the other side's yellow. It'll go directly to the blue and the yellow, which is kind of easy. But we also have another wire. It'll be the next connector that needs to go into the control hub, which was the I for input. Now the wire that we want is the yellow and green. This one will go straight up to the coils, and therefore we have them activated. It just needs to be connected to the yellow side of the coils. So those three wires are going to be connected, and the two blues are going to go together from both sides of the coil. So I've now connected both coils to the condenser, and also this red and green wire from the in and the out ports of the control hub are now all connected up. I just need to connect the points, which is these two wires here. I kind of need to extend them because they're a bit short. So I'll get that done, and then that's taken care of. So one thing about these little temporary connectors that I use is once I've put them on the bike, I can go back later and work out exactly what connectors I actually need for this. For example, this has got two wires going into two, so I'll just need a double for there. And over here, I've got one going into one, so one connector there, or I can use probably the double. So there's two wires coming out of the coil, I'll use two there as well, and two on the other side. You can just go back and just count the ones that you need, and then go and order them as you need them if you don't have them in hand. I want to explain how easy these hubs are to wire up. As we know, the end plug is going to be P for power. That is that, so we can take that one out. We know we've wired that one up separately. This one is the one we've been working on. Obviously, we've connected that green and yellow wire there out of this lot over to the actual coils. So let's just keep that one out for now. Let's just concentrate on this plug here, which is the largest. But don't be overwhelmed with the amount of wiring coming out of that plug, because a majority of it is just for your lighting. Like this little bundle here goes to the back of the bike, and that's just for your lighting, your tail light as well as your turn signals. And there's these four wires here, which also your turn signals and your headlight. So they're really easy things to connect. And there's also a pink wire here that gets connected to your license plate light. The gray wire is just the horn. And this one has a few wires that we've already connected. The red has gone over to the coils. The purple has gone over to the starter solenoid, easy enough. And then there's just a few more wires. Now there's some really long wires. So that's these four wires here. That's the white, the blue, the green, and the yellow. The green and the yellow are your turn signals. And these two are your high beam and your low beam for your headlight. So easy. I mean, you could connect those up and just earth them out at the other end, and you are good to go. So let's throw those aside for a minute. One of the questions I get about this control hub is how does it go around water? And it's 100% waterproof. In other words, it'll work underwater. It's also shockproof. So if you're gonna wash your bike or you go through a creek crossing that might be a little bit too deep, don't worry about it. It's totally fine. It's going to be able to handle all of that. It's designed to work in the worst possible environment outside. So I'd be more concerned about those Amazon and eBay or even Temu parts that you purchased and put on your bike when you get water inside them. Once I get this bike started and get it to temperature, I'm gonna wanna sync the carburetors and get everything even so that you can get the bike running as smooth as possible. And the tool that I use to do this on all of my motorcycles is a digital syncing tool by the company, theDigiSync.com, and I've got a gift to give you. If you don't have a syncing tool or you're looking at upgrading from one of the old school ones, check these ones out from theDigiSync.com, but make sure you use the code CRG at checkout to save yourself some money. On the input plug, you'll see there's four wires. One we've taken care of, it's actually going over to the coils. The orange is going to go down to your rear brake switch. The gray is going to be your neutral switch, and the purple's not being used on this model. That's oil, I believe. So it's just the orange for the rear brake that needs to be earthed out, and just the gray for the neutral switch, which I need to do. I'm using one of these H4 sockets for a couple of reasons. One, because they're a ceramic internal, meaning they won't melt, and they also have the wires coming out of the sides rather than out of the back like the stock ones which you see. So you have a bit more room inside your headlight bucket. We actually have these available on the website as well if you want to check them out. I'm just making a couple of temporary brackets so that I can mount the front turn signals and then wire up all of the lights, including the headlight, the turn signals, and the tail light. But they're really easy to do. You just take the positive power off the control hub and then make sure every light has an earth. I've shown this trick many times in the past, but if you haven't seen it, the easiest way to trace wiring through a set of handlebars or even a frame is to use a vacuum cleaner and some fishing line. Suck that through the frame first, and then attach your wire and then pull it back through. When it comes to connecting your battery, don't do that until the very end. You don't want to have any issues with shorts. Just make sure you do terminate all of the connectors before you actually add power. I've got the switchgear now mounted, and the best thing to do with these little buttons once you attach the wires is to wind them backwards first, so that when you actually install them and then screw them up tight, the wires kind of straighten themselves out. You just have to sort of count how many turns you need to do roughly. It's never going to be perfect, but at least it stops those wires from being all bound up inside. And the shorter that you make the wires, the better it's going to be for the internal side of this, because as you can imagine, you can't get a ton of wiring in there. On the actual circuit board of the control hub itself, you'll see these little tiny dip switches here on the top right-hand corner. These are to adjust depending on the type of switchgear you're using. If you're using the stock switchgear or if you're going to be using push buttons. You only need to touch them once and then they're set. So we can simply screw the case back together and that is done. Then we just need to either mount it with some double-sided tape. You could screw it down as well if you wanted to, but I don't really think it's necessary. It's not going to go anywhere. I have a temporary battery connected to it just for now. Once I get all of my wiring tidied up, I also have a sneaky little battery set up just inside here. As you can see, I need to wire that in, but I also made this battery box specifically for this battery. I used my new Wazer Pro water jet cutter to cut this battery box out. It did such an amazing job that I'm now considering making a range of battery boxes to suit the batteries that we sell. If you are interested in a battery box, definitely get in touch. I'll leave my email in the description below. It's info@caferacergarageshop.com. Once you've wired up your gauge at the dash end, it's just a matter of plugging this last plug in here, and then you're set to go. There's nothing you'll have to do now but to press the start button and see what happens. There's no fuel connected, and I will have to do that later, but let's just see if it'll turn over. So key on, we have the light coming on here. And that sounds like the starter clutch. I had a sneaky suspicion that it had something to do with the starter motor not turning over the engine, so I took the side covers off, and that's exactly where the starter clutch is located anyway. I checked out the starter clutch and it seemed to be fine, and that's when I found the issue. It happened to be the gear and chain missing off the starter motor that had dropped down inside the casing, so I attached that all back on. It was really simple to fix, and now we can see if we can get the bike started. We now have fuel connected. Let's see if this bad boy will start. Now it's key on. It's one button to activate it, and it's the second button to actually get it to start. Now that would be the same button if you had 2 button controls, but I've got 3, so it's set up that way. Yeah. Needs a bit of a tune, but she fires up perfectly. Happy with that. So the button setup is going to be, these bottom ones here will be your turn signals. So you just press them once and that'll activate the turn left and right. So you got your right there, left here. And then this button here on the left is your high and low beam. As you'll see, the high and low beam activate as I press it. This one here is going to be the horn, and that works perfect. Like I said, turn signal. And this is going to be the activation. So you press that once and then press that to start. But if you only had 2 buttons, it would be the same button. So you just press to activate and then press it and hold it to start. And if you require hazards, just press both of the turn signals at the same time and your hazards will activate. It's a nice soft start when you first turn the headlight on, which is a nice feature, but it's also designed to save those incandescent bulbs. So just remember, these control hubs are the core of all of your wiring. Rather than dealing with the old wiring loom and all the faults and the big chunky fuse boxes, consider getting a control hub. It'll simplify everything for you, and you can have your best electrical system your bike's ever seen. Go and check them out at caferacergarageshop.com.